Welcome, I'm Marc Cuevas, and this is New Media Weekly. Today I'm speaking with Leigh Poulos and Hannah Vaughn. They are the creators of the really fabulous web series, Dates Like This. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
So the first question is, how did you two come together? How did you two meet, and what was the genesis of Dates Like This?
Well, we both used to work at this bakery called Two Little Red Hens Bakery.
Okay.
Leigh was a decorator, and I worked in the front. And we just became friends and started talking about working on our own work instead of auditioning all the time, which can sometimes be disappointing.
Right.
And we were talking about scripts that we had already written, and we were like, but they're for short films, and how do we even make that work? And then both of us kind of started auditioning a lot for web series, and so then it was like, well, what if we work on a web series instead? And that just kind of started the conversation.
So it was one of those really great survival job connections.
Yeah.
Now, one of these days when everything is written and said and done, it'll be a very romantic story about how we were struggling actors. We met.
Yeah.
Both came to New York, came to the big city
Exactly.
to make it big, and this is how it started.
Yeah.
So, what was the genesis of the actual storyline for the series?
Well, Hannah, we had been sort of bouncing ideas back and forth, and we really wanted to do something, obviously, since we're creating it, that would feature ourselves. But we did also want to have, involve as many people as possible, because we both were really discussing, it's like, gee, we know so many actors, especially women actors, who are, in their 20s. There's so many of us. There's not enough jobs for all of us. And we knew so many talented people that we really wanted to be able to, A, work with, because sometimes, talented actors and you never get a real chance to work with them.
Absolutely.
And B, feature in something that could be really fun, that people could put on their reels. So we started to think about ways in which we could involve a large group of people while still having a smaller cast that was the series regulars, and we could follow their story as well. And then Hannah, her sister, had actually come across something.
Yeah, I guess this was like a year and a half ago or something like that, 2 summers ago. My sister sent me a link for a guy who was actually doing 30 dates in 30 days, and she was like, you should email him or something. And I said no. But
That's a great idea.
it was great. I was thinking about it. I was like, that would be a great way for us to do a web series. And then it was like, oh, do we do 30 different? And that's when we kind of got into the, what is the actual structure of the series going to be in terms of length of the episodes and how many episodes and what would happen within each one. And then we just had a bunch of brainstorming sessions and went from there.
How long did it take from the time that you decided, we got the idea, thank you for the date, but no. The idea, how long did it take from that point to actually getting the first episode done?
Well, sort of timeline-wise, I guess the very first seed of, hey, we should do this together was probably a year ago.
March last year,
Yeah, March.
So it's
and
been
then
13 months.
Yeah.
and so we brainstormed, it's hard trying to coordinate everyone's schedules.
Yeah.
But the scripts were finished. I wrote the scripts over the summer. And then, we had the fun task of Kickstarter campaigns and looking for a crew and all of that to do.
Yeah.
And then we ended up shooting everything over the month of October. So we just opted for shooting all the episodes at once and then, having them all edited at once. So then when we release them, we could really release them back to back to back.
Yeah.
So total control, nothing about having to worry about making deadlines.
Yeah. Because, at least for me, watching other web series and reading about them, because I really wanted to make sure that we were, not falling into some traps, was, a lot of times people promise, oh, we'll have our next episode up by X, and then something happens and something goes wrong and falls apart. And it's really disappointing for people that have gotten invested in it. So we wanted to make sure that didn't happen with us.
Both of you are theater actors by training.
Yeah.
What has been the transition from being stage to now working in a new medium like webisodes, for lack of a better term?
I thought it was great. I had obviously a little bit of film training in school, but nowhere near the amount of theater training, or really basically just theater experience. I'd done a few on-camera things, I've been involved in web series before, but it's hard to match, you get so comfortable. We've both been on stage since we were itty bitties, so it's really hard to just adjust to, I guess, all the different conventions of film, which is one of the reasons we really wanted to do the project, was to familiarize ourselves more with that, because there's nothing like practice to get comfortable with something. So I think I guess that was just the biggest thing,
Yeah.
You're on stage and a million people are watching you, but it's very different to have a camera like right here while you're trying to do something. So just adjusting to things like that, but I thought it was fun.
Well, and also for me, like I had done some student films, but again, you're just kind of there, and sometimes it can feel like you're just like a prop for them learning how to make films.
You're their avatar. Yeah.
So it was really a huge learning experience, both for acting in front of the camera, but then also because we were such a huge part of the behind the scenes too, of just kind of getting what that point of view is like. And that, for me, it definitely helps with acting, because then you can learn a little bit more, like, okay, well, what are they trying to frame with this shot, and stuff like that. It helps. So.
Where's the show going next?
I mean, we kind of saw it as just kind of a closed project. So
Almost
it was
like a mini series.
Yeah.
I sort of wish that we had come up with that term before, because I didn't want to get people all amped up for more seasons to come.
Yeah.
But, since Meg's whole thing was this project, this little section of her life that we were looking at, that's really what we structured the whole thing around. And I think, we've been kind of racking our brains thinking, well, like, could we do a second season? Could we do more? And it's just hard, because we really want to stay true to the intention of what the project was to begin with. So if we can come up with a way to still do that, then you may see season 2.
Yeah.
But until then, probably not.
Yeah.